Queen Calaxia sat on her crystal throne. The light from 3 moons made her scales shine with many colors. She ruled the Xyridian Empire, which had taken over 13 star systems. Her people were the strongest in this part of space. They won their battles using their special biology and mind powers. Today, her advisors brought troubling news. Strange ships had been seen at the edge of their territory. Some whispered that these ships belonged to humans, but Calaxia did not believe this. Humans are just scary stories we tell our young ones, she told her war council with a laugh. Her voice echoed in the large chamber made of polished stone and living metal. They are made-up creatures. If they ever did exist, we probably wiped them out long ago. The room fell silent. Around the oval table, 6 high-ranking officials shifted uncomfortably. They all had the same greenish-blue scales and ridge-lined faces as their queen. But none had her royal purple markings or the crown-like growth on her head. General Vexthul, her most trusted war leader, dared to speak up. He stood tall, his battle scars visible on his leathery skin. "Your radiance, the signals we caught from these ships don't match any species we know," he said carefully, "and the way they move their ships shows a cleverness we haven't seen before." Calaxia's eyes narrowed. She raised her 6-fingered hand and cut through the air in a sharp motion. Everyone knew this meant she wanted silence. "Send 1 warship to look into this," she ordered. "When you bring me proof that these are just Centaurian refugees or Pleiadian traitors hiding from us, perhaps you'll stop wasting my time with children's tales." General Vexthul bowed low, but Calaxia could see he was not happy with her decision. She didn't care. In her 300 years of life, she had heard many tales of the so-called humans. They were said to be dangerous and unpredictable. But she had never seen any real evidence they existed. Far away, on the ship called Defiance, Lieutenant Olivia Reeves prepared for humanity's first official meeting with the Xyridian Empire. She stood in the command center, looking at the star map that showed their position at the edge of Xyridian space. "Status report," she said to her crew. "All systems ready." "Lieutenant," said Alana Foster, her second in command, "our shields are at full power. Weapons are ready but not active as you ordered." Olivia nodded. She was 34 years old with short auburn hair and green eyes that missed nothing. Among her fellow officers, she had earned the nickname the Ghost because of her amazing ability to outthink enemies in battle. But she hoped there would be no battle today. "Our orders are clear," she told her crew of 20. "We attempt peaceful contact. We show them we are not a threat, but we don't show weakness either. The Xyridians respect strength." "Do you think they'll believe we're human?" asked Communications Officer Dean Martinez. "Our intelligence says they think we're just myths." Olivia smiled slightly. "That might work in our favor. Sometimes being underestimated is an advantage." On the main screen they could see the vast emptiness of space, but their sensors told them a Xyridian ship would arrive soon. Humanity had been watching the Xyridians for decades, learning their language and studying their technology from a distance. "They're coming," said Sensor Officer Paige Wilson suddenly. "1 warship, Class 4 destroyer. They'll be here in 3 minutes." Olivia took a deep breath. This moment would make history. The first official contact between humans and Xyridians. After years of staying hidden, watching and learning about the various alien species, humanity had decided it was time to reveal themselves. "Open a channel as soon as they arrive," she ordered. "Let's show them that myths can be real." Back on the Xyridian homeworld, Queen Calaxia left her war room and walked to her private garden. Here, strange plants from all conquered worlds grew together. Some gave off sweet smells while others glowed softly in the dim light. Her personal guard, Zex, followed at a respectful distance. He had served her for 50 years and knew when she wanted to be left alone with her thoughts. "Zex," she said suddenly, "do you believe the stories about humans?" The guard was surprised by the question. "How can I have heard many tales, Your Radiance? They say humans look like the Palan species but without fur. They say humans can't read minds but they can outthink those who can. And do you believe these tales?" she asked again. Zex hesitated. "I believe there are many things in the vast universe we don't understand yet, Your Radiance." Calaxia made a sound that might have been a laugh. A diplomatic answer. "You should have been on my council instead of guarding my door." She walked to a small pool where tiny creatures that looked like floating jewels swam in patterns. These were from a world her forces had conquered just 10 years ago. The native species there had surrendered quickly. "If humans do exist," she said quietly, And if they have been hiding all this time, watching us, that would make them very dangerous indeed. In the silence that followed, a small communicator on her wrist blinked with an urgent message. The warship she had sent to investigate had made contact with the mysterious vessel. As she read the message, Queen Calaxia's face showed shock for the first time in many years. The message was simple. Unknown ship claims to be human vessel Defiance. Request immediate instructions. The myth had just become real. The Zyridian warship Venomous Claw appeared suddenly in space. Right in front of the human vessel, Captain Zikara stood on the command deck, his tall figure casting a long shadow. He had fought in 3 system wars and won many battles. Today, he expected an easy mission. Target locked, said his weapons officer. The alien ship is smaller than ours. No signs they are preparing to run or fight. Captain Zikara clicked his mandibles together, a sign of confidence among his kind. Open a channel. Let's see who dares to enter Zyridian space. What happened next shocked everyone on the Zyridian ship. A calm voice spoke through their communication system, in perfect Zyridian language. This is Lieutenant Olivia Reeves of the Earth Alliance vessel Defiance. We come in peace and request diplomatic dialogue. The bridge crew froze. Captain Zikara's eyes widened. How do they know our language? Whispered the communications officer. Captain Zikara raised his hand for silence. Show me this. Creature, he ordered. The main screen lit up. The Zyridians expected to see some kind of scaled or tentacled alien, like the many species they had conquered before. Instead, they saw a being with pale skin, short reddish-brown hair and eyes that showed no fear. Impossible, Captain Zikara said quietly, his mandibles clicking rapidly now in agitation. You cannot be human. Humans are myths. On the screen, Olivia smiled slightly. I assure you, Captain, we are quite real, and we'd prefer to establish relations without bloodshed, though we are prepared to defend ourselves if necessary. As if to prove her point, the Defiance released several small machines that moved to form a protective circle around the ship. Captain Zikara recognized defensive technology when he saw it, but this was more advanced than anything the Zyridians had. Our queen believes your kind doesn't exist, Captain Zikara said, trying to regain control of the situation. Why should I believe you are really human? You could be some other species trying to trick us. Olivia's expression remained calm. Your history texts mention humans as demons or spirits that appeared suddenly and vanished just as quickly. Those weren't myths, Captain. Those were early scouting missions. We've been watching the galaxy for centuries, learning languages, studying different species and their ways. This information disturbed Captain Zikara. The thought that humans had been watching them for so long without being detected was worrying. Why reveal yourselves now? He demanded. Because it's time for our peoples to meet officially, Olivia replied. The galaxy is changing. New threats are emerging that concern us all. Captain Zikara studied the human carefully. His instincts told him she was telling the truth, but he needed to be certain. I must report this to Queen Calaxia, he said finally. Do not attempt to leave or approach any closer, or we will open fire. We'll maintain our position, Olivia agreed. We look forward to establishing peaceful relations with the Zyridian Empire. The communication ended. Captain Zikara immediately called his senior officers to a private meeting room. Opinions? He asked when they had gathered. It must be a trick, said his second-in-command. Humans can't be real. But they speak our language perfectly, argued the communications officer. And their technology? Those defensive drones are like nothing I've ever seen. Captain Zikara paced the room. If they really are humans and they've been watching us all this time without us knowing. He didn't finish the thought. It was too disturbing. We should destroy them now, suggested the weapons officer. One quick strike before they can defend themselves. No, Captain Zikara decided. If they are what they claim to be, attacking them could start a war we aren't prepared for. I will send a full report to Queen Calaxia and await her orders. Back on the Defiance, Olivia and her crew watched the Zyridian warship carefully. They're sending a message to their homeworld, reported Communications Officer Dean Martinez. Long-range encrypted, but we can break it. No need, Olivia said. I'm sure they're reporting our presence. This is exactly what we expected. Alana Foster, her second-in-command, looked worried. Do you think the Queen will believe them? Our intelligence suggests she's particularly skeptical about humans existing. She'll have to believe them now, Olivia said. But believing we exist and accepting us as equals are two different things. For the next 6 hours, the two ships remained facing each other in space. The Zyridians made no aggressive moves, but they kept their weapon systems ready. The Defiance maintained its defensive posture, the small drones continuing their patrol pattern around the ship. Finally, Captain Zykara contacted them again. "Lieutenant Reeves," he said, his voice sounding strained. "I have received orders from Queen Calaxia herself." Olivia straightened in her chair. "And what are those orders, Captain?" "I am to escort your vessel to the Zyridian royal system," he replied. "The Queen wishes to verify your identity herself." Olivia exchanged glances with her officers. This was both an opportunity and a risk. Entering the heart of the Zyridian Empire would put them at greater danger, but it would also advance their mission significantly. "We accept the invitation," she said after a moment. "Please transmit the course coordinates." "There is one condition," Captain Zykara added. "You will lower your defensive systems and follow closely behind my ship. Any deviation will be considered hostile action." Olivia considered this. "We will recall our defensive drones, but our ship's shields will remain active." "That's non-negotiable, Captain. I hope you understand." After a brief pause, Captain Zykara agreed. "Prepare to follow us into hyperspace in 1 hour." When the communication ended, Olivia's crew burst into excited conversation. "We're actually going to meet the Zyridian Queen," exclaimed Dean Martinez. "We're also heading right into the center of their empire," Alana Foster reminded everyone. "With limited defenses," Olivia nodded. "Both observations are correct. This is what our mission was designed for. First contact at the highest level. But stay alert. The Zyridians may respect strength, but they also eliminate what they perceive as threats." She turned to look at the star map, where the Zyridian home system now appeared highlighted. "Send a coded message to Earth Command," she instructed. "Tell them we've made contact and are proceeding to the Zyridian royal system at the Queen's invitation. Request backup to maintain position at the edge of Zyridian space, but stress that they should take no action unless we fail to report in after 72 hours. Paige Wilson nodded and began preparing the message. 1 hour later, the Defiance followed the Zyridian warship into hyperspace. As the stars stretched into lines around them, Olivia thought about the historic nature of their journey. Humans were finally stepping onto the galactic stage openly, after centuries of watching from the shadows. What waited for them at the Zyridian royal palace would change everything. Queen Calaxia paced in her royal chamber. The news from Captain Zykara had disturbed her deeply. Humans, real humans, were coming to her world. The creatures of legend that her people had dismissed as myths for generations were real, and they had been watching the Zyridians all along. "This is unacceptable," she said to her council. "If humans have been observing us without detection, they could know our weaknesses. They could have mapped our entire empire." General Vexthul nodded in agreement. "Your Radiance, I suggest we prepare for possible conflict. These humans may appear peaceful, but we cannot trust them." "Agreed," said Calaxia. "Ready my flagship, the Sovereign Venom. I will meet these humans personally with enough firepower to destroy them if necessary." The council members bowed and hurried away to carry out her orders. Only her personal advisor, Thrix, remained behind. "Your Radiance," Thrix said carefully. "If the humans wanted war, why would they reveal themselves with just one small ship? It seems they truly seek diplomatic relations." Calaxia's eyes flashed with anger. "Or they want us to think that while their real forces gather elsewhere." "I will not be fooled, Thrix. Prepare my elite guard and my strongest psychics. If these humans try to deceive me, we will break into their minds and learn their true intentions." Thrix bowed low. "As you command, Your Radiance." 3 days later, the Defiance arrived in the Zyridian home system, still following Captain Zykara's warship. Olivia Reeves stood on her bridge, watching as they approached a massive space station that orbited the Zyridian homeworld. "That station is at least 10 times the size of our largest orbital platform," said Alana Foster. "Clearly impressed. And heavily armed," added Paige Wilson, reading from her sensor display. "I'm counting over 200 weapon ports all active." Olivia nodded. "Remember our mission. We're here to establish peaceful contact, but we won't allow ourselves to be intimidated." The Defiance received docking instructions and slowly approached the massive station. As they drew closer, they saw another ship preparing to leave the main dock, much larger than Captain Zykara's vessel. "That's a Zyridian royal flagship," said Dean Martinez, checking the intelligence files. "The Sovereign Venom." Our reports say it only leaves the station when the Queen herself is traveling. It seems Queen Calaxia wants to meet us in space, not on her station, Olivia observed. Probably thinks it's safer that way. As the Defiance approached the docking area, they received a new communication, not from Captain Zikara, but from the royal flagship. Human vessel, said a cold, formal voice. This is the royal flagship Sovereign Venom. You will alter your course and dock with our ship instead. Queen Calaxia demands your immediate surrender and inspection. Olivia frowned. This wasn't what they had agreed to. This is Lieutenant Olivia Reeves. We came here for diplomatic talks, not to surrender our vessel. You have no choice, the voice replied. Our weapons are locked on your position. Comply or be destroyed. Olivia turned to her crew. Options? We could try to run, suggested Paige Wilson. Our engines are faster than theirs. But we'd never outrun their long-range weapons, countered Alana Foster. And that would destroy any chance of peaceful relations, Olivia thought quickly. This was a test. The Queen wanted to see how they would respond to threats. Send this message, she instructed Dean Martinez. Sovereign Venom, we understand Queen Calaxia's concerns. We agree to dock with your vessel for diplomatic discussions. However, we will not surrender our ship. I will come aboard personally with 2 officers to meet with the Queen. The rest of my crew will remain on the Defiance. There was a long pause before the reply came. Your terms are accepted, but be warned, any sign of deception will result in immediate action against your vessel. The Defiance carefully approached the massive royal flagship. The Ziridian ship was beautiful in a strange way, with a design that reminded Olivia of sea creatures from Earth, smooth curves and spines that glowed with bioluminescent light. Lieutenant, said Alana Foster quietly. I should go with you. No, Olivia replied. You need to stay here and command the ship if something goes wrong. She turned to her security chief and medical officer. Carmen Wright, Beth Morgan, you're with me. Bring sidearms but keep them holstered. And Carmen, bring the special equipment. Carmen nodded, understanding the reference to their advanced defensive technology. As the Defiance docked with the Sovereign Venom, Olivia and her 2 officers prepared to board. They wore their standard Earth Alliance uniforms with only light armor underneath, showing trust while still maintaining some protection. If we don't return or contact you within 3 hours, Olivia told Alana, send the emergency signal to Earth Command and try to retreat. Understood, Alana replied, though she looked worried. Good luck, Lieutenant. Olivia led her small team through the airlock and into the Ziridian ship. They were met by a group of tall, heavily armed Ziridian guards, their scales glinting under the ship's lights. Follow us, ordered the lead guard without introducing himself. Any deviation from the path will be considered hostile action. The human officers were led through long corridors that seemed partly mechanical and partly organic, a strange blend of technology and living material that was typical of Ziridian design. They passed many curious Ziridian crew members who stared at the humans with a mixture of fear and fascination. Finally, they reached a large chamber with a high ceiling. At the center stood a throne-like seat, and upon it sat Queen Calaxia. She was taller than the other Ziridians, with purple markings on her scales and a crown-like crest on her head. Around her stood heavily armed guards and several robed figures that Olivia recognized as Ziridian psychics. So, said Queen Calaxia, her voice echoing in the large room, the myths have grown legs and walked into my kingdom. Olivia stepped forward and bowed slightly, showing respect but not submission. Queen Calaxia, I am Lieutenant Olivia Reeves of the Earth Alliance. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. The Queen's eyes narrowed. I have not agreed to anything, human. You are here because I wish to see for myself what creatures have been spying on my empire from the shadows. Not spying, Your Radiance, Olivia corrected politely. Observing, learning, preparing for this day when our peoples could finally meet officially. Queen Calaxia stood, towering over the humans. And why should I believe anything you say? For all I know, you could be advanced scouts for an invasion force. If we wanted war, Olivia replied calmly, we wouldn't have come in a single ship and revealed ourselves openly. The Queen made a gesture, and one of the robed Ziridians stepped forward. My chief psychic will examine your mind to verify your claims. Resist and it will be painful. Olivia had been prepared for this possibility. Human intelligence had long known about Ziridian psychic abilities. I understand your caution, Your Radiance, she said, but there's no need for mental intrusion. We've brought proof of our peaceful intentions. She nodded to Carmen, who opened a small case she had brought. Inside was a data crystal containing centuries of human observations of the Xyridians, showing that humans could have attacked many times but chose not to. This contains records of our observations of your people over the last 300 years, Olivia explained. It shows many occasions when we could have interfered in your affairs or even attacked, but didn't. We've always respected your sovereignty. Before the Queen could respond, the robed psychic suddenly lunged forward, reaching for Olivia's head with glowing fingertips, attempting a forced mind reading. What happened next shocked everyone in the room. As the psychic's fingers came within inches of Olivia's face, he suddenly staggered backward, blood trickling from his eyes. 2 more psychics rushed forward to try the same attack, but they too fell back, crying out in pain. What sorcery is this? Demanded Queen Calaxia, her guards immediately raising their weapons. Olivia remained calm. Not sorcery, Your Radiance, technology. All Earth Alliance officers are equipped with neural shields that protect against psychic intrusion. They reflect the attack back on the attacker. She looked at the fallen psychics with genuine regret. I'm sorry they were hurt. I would have warned them if they had asked permission first. The Queen was speechless for a moment, then her anger returned stronger than before. Seize them! She commanded her guards. Take them to the detention cells. As the guards moved forward, Carmen pressed a button on her wrist device. Suddenly the lights in the chamber flickered and all the Xyridian weapons shut down. Please, Your Radiance, Olivia said, still keeping her voice respectful but firm. We didn't come here to fight, but we are prepared to defend ourselves if forced. The Queen stared at the humans, realizing that these creatures, these myths come to life, were far more dangerous than she had imagined. 2 weeks passed with no word from Queen Calaxia. The Defiance remained in orbit around the Xyridian station, its crew growing increasingly anxious. They were allowed to move freely within a designated area of the station, but were constantly watched by Xyridian guards. Olivia spent most of her time studying Xyridian culture and technology, preparing for what she hoped would be the Queen's positive response. Earth Command had sent several messages asking for updates, but she could only tell them that negotiations were ongoing. Finally, on the 15th day, a royal messenger arrived at the Defiance. Lieutenant Reeves, the messenger said with a formal bow, Queen Calaxia requests your presence aboard the Sovereign Venom immediately. You may bring 2 officers with you. Olivia nodded. Please inform Her Radiance that I will arrive shortly. After the messenger left, Alana Foster approached her commander. Do you think they've made a decision? Yes, Olivia replied, but I don't know which way it will go. The Queen is proud, but she's also practical. The threat of the architects should outweigh her distrust of humans. Should? Alana repeated with raised eyebrows. Olivia smiled slightly. We'll find out soon enough. You and Dean will come with me. Carmen and Beth should stay here and prepare the ship for possible quick departure, just in case. An hour later, Olivia and her 2 officers were escorted into the royal chamber of the Sovereign Venom. This time, the room was filled with Xyridian officials, military leaders, scientific advisors, and council members. Queen Calaxia sat on her throne looking regal and imposing. Lieutenant Reeves, the Queen said as Olivia approached, my council has reviewed all available information about the architects and your proposal for alliance. The room was silent. Olivia could feel the tension in the air. The debate was passionate, the Queen continued. Many of my advisors believe that humans cannot be trusted, that your sudden appearance after centuries of hiding must have sinister motives. Several council members nodded in agreement. Olivia remained calm, waiting for the Queen to finish. Others point out that if you meant us harm, you've had countless opportunities to strike, and the evidence regarding the architects is compelling. Queen Calaxia rose from her throne and descended the steps until she stood directly in front of Olivia. I have ruled the Xyridian Empire for 300 years, she said. In that time, I have conquered 13 systems and defeated countless enemies. I have never sought allies because I never believed I needed them. She paused, her eyes locked with Olivia's. But I have also never faced a threat like the architects. Our oldest legends warn that they cannot be defeated by conventional means. They are not conquerors but shapers, beings that remake reality according to their design. The Queen turned and walked toward a large viewport that showed the stars beyond. Therefore, I have decided to accept your proposal of alliance conditionally. We will share information and technology, coordinate our defenses, and prepare to face this common enemy together. A murmur ran through the assembled Ziridians. Some looked pleased, others concerned, and a few openly angry. Thank you, Your Radiance, Olivia said, bowing more deeply than before. The Earth Alliance welcomes this decision and pledges our full cooperation. However, the Queen continued, turning back to face her, there will be conditions. First, a joint command structure must be established with equal representation from both our peoples. Second, all shared technology must be fully disclosed with no secrets kept. And third, she stepped closer to Olivia again, you will remain here as the human representative, while one of my trusted advisors travels to Earth. We will each be guests of the other's government. Olivia understood immediately. She would effectively be a hostage, ensuring human cooperation. But it also meant the Queen was serious about the alliance. She was willing to send one of her own people to Earth as a similar guarantee. I accept these conditions. Your Radiance, Olivia replied without hesitation. With one addition, I request that my ship and crew be allowed to return to Earth to deliver the news of our alliance and bring back the necessary personnel and resources. The Queen considered this. Your ship may go, but you and one officer of your choosing will remain here. Agreed, Olivia said. She turned to Alana. Commander Foster, you will take the Defiance back to Earth. Dean will stay with me. Alana looked like she wanted to protest, but nodded obediently. Yes, Lieutenant. Queen Calaxia seemed satisfied. Then it is settled. The formal alliance agreement will be prepared for signing tomorrow. My advisor Thrix will accompany your ship to Earth as my representative. The meeting concluded, and Olivia was escorted back to her temporary quarters to prepare for her extended stay. Alana followed her, clearly troubled. You realize you'll be at their mercy once the Defiance is gone, she said once they were alone. I'm not worried, Olivia replied. The Queen is many things, but she isn't a fool. She knows that harming me would destroy any chance of alliance, and right now she needs us as much as we need them. Alana didn't look convinced. I don't like leaving you here. Your orders are to return to Earth with Thrix, brief command on the situation, and come back with the joint task force we discussed. Olivia placed a hand on her friend's shoulder. I'll be fine, Alana. This is what we trained for. The next day, a formal ceremony was held in the Great Hall of the space station. Representatives from both sides signed the alliance agreement. The Defiance prepared to depart for Earth, carrying news that would change human history forever. As the ship was about to leave, Queen Calaxia requested Olivia's presence on the observation deck. Together, they watched as the human vessel disappeared into hyperspace. Your ship is quite impressive, the Queen remarked, small but powerful like its commander. Olivia smiled slightly. Thank you, Your Radiance. You know, the Queen said, turning to face her, many of my people still believe this alliance is a mistake. They think humans will betray us at the first opportunity. And what do you think, Your Radiance? The Queen studied her for a long moment. I think you are either the most honest diplomat I've ever met, or the most skilled deceiver. Time will tell which. I hope to prove it's the former, Olivia replied, echoing her words from their earlier meeting. We shall see. The Queen gestured toward the stars visible through the viewport. The architects will reach the outer colony of Vexnar Prime in approximately 5 months. That gives us very little time to prepare. Then we should begin immediately, Olivia suggested. I'd like to meet with your military strategists and scientific teams as soon as possible. I have several ideas for combining our technologies that might give us an advantage. The Queen nodded. Always eager to move forward, aren't you? Very well. I've ordered my best people to work with you. They await us in the Strategic Command Center. As they walked together through the station, Olivia noticed something different in how the Ziridians looked at her. There was still suspicion, yes, but also curiosity, and perhaps a hint of respect. For the next 3 months, Olivia worked tirelessly with the Ziridian teams. They developed new weapon systems that combined Ziridian biotechnology with human AI controls. They created defensive shields that could resist both physical and psychic attacks. They designed ships that incorporated the best elements of both species engineering. At first, progress was slow. The Ziridians were reluctant to share their secrets, and many actively resisted working with a human. But as time passed and the threat of the architects grew closer, attitudes began to change. General Vexthul, once one of the strongest opponents of the alliance, found himself impressed by Olivia's tactical knowledge. "You fight unlike any species we've encountered," he told her one day as they reviewed battle simulations. "No wasted movement. No glory-seeking, just efficiency. We learned war the hard way," Olivia replied, "by fighting ourselves for millennia before we reached the stars." Even Queen Calaxia began to spend more time with Olivia, often calling her for private discussions about strategy, or simply to learn more about human culture. "Your species is a paradox," the Queen said during one such meeting. "Capable of terrible violence, yet also of remarkable compassion. Technologically advanced, yet still driven by emotions. How did you overcome your destructive tendencies?" "We haven't entirely," Olivia admitted. "But we recognized that our survival depended on cooperation rather than conflict. It was adapt or die." The Queen considered this. Perhaps that is what separates myths from reality, the ability to evolve when necessary. 4 months after the alliance was formed, the Defiance returned accompanied by a fleet of 20 Earth Alliance vessels. They brought scientists, engineers, and soldiers ready to join the fight against the architects. A joint command center was established on the newly commissioned vessel, Concordat, a name chosen to symbolize the agreement between the two species. Designed by both human and Xyridian engineers, it incorporated technologies from both cultures. Standing on the observation deck of this new ship, Queen Calaxia and Commander Olivia Reeves, newly promoted by Earth Command, watched as the combined fleet performed complex maneuvers that would have been impossible months earlier. "Your warriors learn quickly," Calaxia admitted, her earlier disdain replaced by grudging respect. The royal chamber fell silent. Queen Calaxia and her guards stood frozen, their weapons disabled. The 3 human officers remained calm, making no threatening moves. "What have you done to my ship?" the Queen demanded, her voice cold with rage. "It's temporary," Olivia explained. "A localized energy disruption that affects only weapons systems. It will wear off in about 5 minutes. Calaxia's eyes narrowed. 5 minutes is more than enough time for my guards to tear you apart with their bare hands." "True," Olivia nodded. "But that wouldn't serve either of our interests, would it? We came here to talk, not to fight." The Queen studied the human woman with new interest. This creature was small compared to a Xyridian, with no claws, no natural armor, and yet she stood before the most powerful Xyridian alive without fear. "You are either very brave or very foolish," Calaxia said finally. Olivia smiled slightly. "Sometimes the line between the two is thin, Your Radiance." After a tense moment, the Queen made a gesture. Her guard stepped back but remained alert. "Very well, human. You have my attention. Speak." Olivia took a small device from her pocket and placed it on the floor. It projected a holographic display showing a star map of the galaxy. "For centuries, humanity has been exploring the stars quietly," she began. "We developed different technologies than most species in this part of the galaxy. While others focused on biological enhancements and psychic abilities, we pursued digital systems, artificial intelligence, and stealth technology." The hologram zoomed in to show the Xyridian Empire and surrounding systems. "We've observed many species, including yours. We learned your languages, studied your cultures, and monitored your expansion, not as enemies but as potential future allies," Queen Calaxia scoffed. "If you were truly interested in alliance, why hide for so long?" "Because we weren't ready," Olivia said simply. "Humanity nearly destroyed itself several times before we united and reached the stars. We needed to mature as a species before making contact with others." The Queen circled the hologram, her long robes sweeping across the floor. "And what changed? Why reveal yourselves now?" Olivia touched the device again, and the hologram shifted to show the far edge of the galaxy. Strange geometric shapes moved through deep space, perfectly symmetrical structures that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. 3 months ago, we lost contact with our outpost in this region," she explained. "When we sent ships to investigate, they found nothing but debris. 2 weeks later, we lost another outpost, then a third." One of the Queen's advisors stepped forward, staring at the hologram. "The shapes of those objects," he whispered. "They match the description of the architects from our ancient texts." Queen Calaxia's expression changed. For the first time, she looked genuinely concerned. "The architects," she said softly. "Our oldest legends speak of them. beings that exist to remake worlds according to their own design, destroying anything that doesn't fit their pattern. You know them, Olivia said. It wasn't a question. We have stories, the Queen replied carefully. Tales passed down for thousands of years from before our people reached the stars. But most consider them myths. Like humans. She gave Olivia a pointed look. Sometimes myths turn out to be real, Olivia said. Whatever these beings are, they're heading toward both our territories. Based on their current path and speed, they'll reach the outer systems of your empire within 6 months. The lights in the chamber returned to normal, indicating that the energy disruption had worn off. The Zeridian Guard's weapons reactivated, but no one raised them. Queen Calaxia returned to her throne and sat down slowly. If what you say is true, why come to us? Why not prepare your own defenses? Because neither of our species can face this threat alone, Olivia explained. But together, combining Zeridian biotechnology with human AI systems, merging your psychic abilities with our tactical experience, we might stand a chance. The Queen's advisors began talking among themselves, some arguing loudly. Calaxia silenced them with a gesture. You expect me to believe that humans, who have hidden from us for centuries, suddenly want an alliance? That you come in peace when your first action was to disable my royal flagship? Your psychics attacked first, Your Radiance, Olivia reminded her. We only defended ourselves. She took a step closer to the throne. And yes, I do expect you to consider an alliance because you're a wise ruler who puts the survival of her people above pride. The chamber fell silent again. The Queen's advisors looked shocked at the human's boldness. After a long moment, Queen Calaxia made an unexpected sound, a low, rumbling laugh. You are unlike any creature I have encountered, Lieutenant Reeves, she said. You stand in the heart of enemy territory, surrounded by warriors who could kill you in seconds. And still you speak as if you have the upper hand. I speak as an equal, Your Radiance, Olivia corrected. Neither above nor below you. That's what alliance means. The Queen considered this. I will need to verify your claims about these architects. If they truly threaten my empire, then perhaps there is merit in hearing more of your proposal. Of course, Olivia agreed. We've brought detailed scans and records of the encounters. Your scientists are welcome to examine them. Queen Calaxia nodded to one of her advisors, who stepped forward to take the data crystal from Carmen Wright. In the meantime, the Queen continued, you and your officers will remain aboard the Sovereign Venom as my guests. Your Radiance, Olivia said carefully. My crew is expecting us to return within 3 hours. If we don't, they will send an emergency signal to Earth. The Queen's eyes narrowed. Is that a threat, human? Not at all. Simply a fact. Standard procedure for first contact situations. Olivia maintained her calm demeanor. I suggest a compromise. Allow me to send a message to my ship, informing them that our discussions are proceeding peacefully but will take longer than expected. My officers and I will remain here voluntarily while your experts verify our information. After considering this, the Queen agreed. Olivia was allowed to send a brief message to the Defiance, informing Alana Foster that they were safe and continuing diplomatic talks. Over the next 2 days, Zeridian scientists studied the human data while Olivia and her officers were kept in luxurious but closely guarded quarters aboard the royal flagship. They were treated with formal courtesy but constant suspicion. On the 3rd day, Olivia was summoned back to the royal chamber. This time, Queen Calaxia was alone except for 2 guards and her chief advisor, Thrix. Your data has been verified, the Queen said without preamble. The threat appears to be real. Then you understand why we need to work together, Olivia replied. Perhaps. The Queen rose from her throne and approached the human. But there is something I still don't understand. You say humans have been watching us for centuries. You claim to know our weaknesses, our strengths. Why didn't you attack us when we were vulnerable? Any strategic mind would recognize the advantage in striking first. Because that's not who we are, Olivia said simply. Not anymore. Humanity learned the hard way that conquest brings only temporary power. True strength comes from cooperation, from building rather than destroying. The Queen circled Olivia slowly, studying her. Noble words. But I wonder if all humans share this philosophy, or if you were specially chosen for your diplomatic skills. Olivia smiled. I was chosen because I've studied your people extensively, and because I have a talent for seeing the bigger picture. But yes, most humans today share these values. We had to evolve beyond our violent impulses to survive as a species. And yet, the Queen observed, you come equipped with technology that can disable our weapons and shield your minds from our psychics. These are not the tools of a purely peaceful people. Understanding the need for peace doesn't mean being unprepared for conflict, Olivia responded. We hoped for the best but prepared for the worst. I think your people understand that principle well. Queen Galaxia stopped her circling and faced Olivia directly. You are a fascinating creature, Lieutenant Reeves, in some ways so alien to us. In others, surprisingly similar. She returned to her throne. I will consider your proposal of alliance. But first, I must consult with my full council and military leaders. This decision cannot be made quickly. Of course, Your Radiance, Olivia agreed, but I should remind you that time is limited. The architects continue to advance. I am aware, the Queen said sharply. Return to your ship for now. You have my word that neither you nor your vessel will be harmed while in our space. We will contact you when a decision has been reached. Olivia bowed slightly. Thank you, Your Radiance. The Earth Alliance looks forward to your response. As she turned to leave, the Queen spoke again. Lieutenant Reeves. Olivia paused and looked back. You have made me question beliefs I have held for centuries, Queen Galaxia said, her voice softer than before. I'm still not certain if that makes you my future ally or my most dangerous enemy. With respect, Your Radiance, Olivia replied. I hope to prove it's the former. As she was escorted back to the Defiance, Olivia knew that the fate of two civilizations now hung in the balance. The Zyridians had to accept the reality not only of human existence, but also of a threat greater than either of their species had faced before, and time was running out.